Okay, so are we ready for another episode of Batman the Animated Series? I hope your answer is yes, because we're about to get one. Oh, here's what I'm working on right now. It's a G.I. Joe classified Cutter action figure. I downloaded these parts from Donman Art Collectibles. I contribute to his Patreon, so I get a few pieces from that every month, and I get 50% off of his older stuff. So that's pretty cool. But he just put out this set to make Cutter, and I just so happened to find some shipwreck figures that were marked down at Target. So I was able to make this cool figure. He's almost done. I still need to finish his hat. Obviously, he's got to have his little Boston Red Sox logo on there, and do a couple more coats of paint on that belt. So I'm turn on the light so you can see it a little better. But yeah, he's turning out pretty cool. Pretty happy with that one. All right, so this episode of Batman the Animated Series is going to be If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? Which is the first appearance of the Riddler. Now, the Riddler on this is played by John Glover, and he's a favorite character actor of mine. And you're probably familiar with him if you watched Smallville. He played Lionel Luthor on that. And he was also in Batman and Robin, our favorite Batman movie. Well, it's not my least favorite Batman movie. Not anymore, Matt Reeves. But yeah, drawing a blank on the character's name now. Jason Woodrue. He played Jason Woodrue, aka the Floronic Man. We know him in the comic books as the Floronic Man. So let me get my sign. So yeah, he played the Floronic Man in that, but he wasn't the Floronic Man yet. He was just still Jason Woodrue, and his acting was like really ridiculously over the top in that because he understood the assignment, and he's just so so freaking entertaining in that movie. I love him in that. So yeah, Batman and Robin, not the best movie, but it's an entertaining movie. I'll give it that. Maybe not entertaining in the way it intended to be, but it was entertaining. So let's go ahead and watch Batman the Animated Series, an actual good version of Batman, the best version of Batman, and see what I think is out of his many DC character performances. I think this is probably his best one. Although Lionel Luthor is a really cool character too. So anyway, let's get started. Now, the Riddler's costume on this is not the spandex leotard that you often think of the character as wearing. It's a button-up green blazer with some gray dress slacks, green shoes, question mark on the tie. And this outfit was inspired by one of the outfits that Frank Gorshin wore when he played the Riddler on the 1966 Batman television series. Is that he'd requested to the costumer that maybe he not have to wear spandex tights the entire time he's playing this character. So maybe we could give him like an alternate kind of outfit he could wear sometimes in certain scenes. And the costumer came up with this green business suit that was covered in question marks. By the way, all the question marks on both the Riddler's costumes were done in Sharpie marker. So there's something you might not know. But in the 90s, when they were trying to make these characters, I think a little more serious, directed by Eric Radomski, when they were trying to make these characters a little more serious, a little more realistic, they brought back that old business suit from, ironically, from the 1965 Batman TV show that everybody seemed so dismissive of. Along with pouch utility belts. That's where that came from. But I love the 1966 Batman television show. I think it's one of the best versions of the character. Maze of cubicles. That's a visual that's also in the movie Tron. I don't know if that's a purposeful homage or not. T. Burgo. Jay Snow. Jon Snow works there. Probably did it in pen, too. Smug bastard. And he's locked out of his office? What's the meaning of this? Nameplate's gone.
Where's my office? My door was right here.
And you saw how they subtly set up the nameplates on the doors.
What's the meaning of this? What does it look like? You're out of here.
God, this guy's even more smug. This guy's like a Tony Stark guy. You know they were thinking about Tony Stark when they drew this guy. This is before Robert Downey Jr. played Tony Stark. And he still looks like Robert Downey Jr. because Robert Downey Jr. was the perfect Tony Stark.
The deal, the contract, specifically the work for hire contract you signed.
When my Aunt June watches this, I'm sure she will. She's a huge fan of Robert Downey Jr. So
there's no match for an intellect like mine. Oh yeah? Then tell me something, Annie. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich?
Title drop. 2 years later. So I'm still a smug bastard. And Bruce and Lucius are just so bored. You know, I always really like Lucius in the comics, and he's good in certain episodes of this, even though, like I said, I don't like his design. It's a riddle. But Brock Peters does a really good job with his voice. But anytime I see a version of Lucius from before the Christopher Nolan movies, I always wish he was more like the one Morgan Freeman played, where he was like building gadgets for Batman and stuff like that. I liked that take on the character. If I was going to take If I was only allowed to take one thing from the Nolan movies to put into my version of Batman, it would be that. Dick Grayson using the most sophisticated piece of crime-fighting equipment known to man to play video games. Like the subtle bat cave in the foreground. We see that Bruce is getting ready for the preparing to go as Batman. That's a curve. Huh. The Mario sound effect.
That's the hand of fate. When you make a mistake, it picks you up and takes you to another part of the name.
This isn't just Robin playing a computer game. This is set up for later on in the episode. So I hope you're paying attention. You need to get ready, Robin.
Come on. Daniel Moffat is walking into a trap.
If it's a Riddler episode, it's got to have Robin on it. Because Batman's got to have somebody to talk about the riddles with. And in fact, on the old television show, it was almost always Robin that solved the riddles. Hey, there's Sean Franklin. How you doing? Welcome.
Or did you have help? You're trespassing, Nigma. Get out. You can't kill this deal. I'm selling out to Wayne, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Of course there is. You don't understand. I have a proposition for you. You come up with a new game. This? No, this puzzle is far more than any new game.
There's a playfulness to this version of the character, but he's a bit more subdued than the Frank Gorshin iteration. I think that's probably a good choice. Because frankly, you can't beat Frank Gorshin. It's impossible. Don't even try. So they find some other way to do the Riddler. Is revenge. What's you? No, whatever. Broken glass, which they're not supposed to do, but they do it sometimes anyway. Man, Batman. It's not like that's a hard word to remember. You know he's Batman. Smug. Nice painting there. Eric Radomski, the genius behind the Dark Deco background paintings. Makes sense that he would introduce the villain in such a way. Have you? No, I've never met Peter Weller. Although that would be really cool. He's one of my favorite actors. RoboCop is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. And I also really enjoyed his performance in Buckaroo Banzai. It's another great movie he's in. Dude's in two of the greatest sci-fi movies of the 80s. Wow, that dude literally turned red. The Disco of Death. Steel chair to the back! Didn't even phase him. Well, fat guy. Looks like you're getting lifted by the Batman. That's pretty funny. Man, the Disco of Death is going crazy. Enigma's getting away with Mockridge. Yeah. And now the place is ablaze. They weren't allowed to do the character of Firefly on Fox Kids because they were afraid that like kids might emulate the fire. This was after Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, Peter Weller was the voice of Batman in the Dark Knight Returns animated movie, which is excellent, by the way. For anybody out there who hasn't watched it, I highly recommend it. I'll probably do a watch along of that one of these days when I get into the independent animated movies, the ones that aren't connected to any particular series. But yeah, he did a good job with Batman. Question mark license plate. I'm sure he did not get that from the DMV.
What do you mean? A joke on his name? You know
who he is? Yeah. Batman has already figured out who the Riddler really is. Because he's actually a good detective.
Enigma, meaning a puzzle or riddle, an enigma. At least we know.
So there's a audio drama based on Nightfall, directed by Dirk Maggs for the BBC. It was excellent. You can find it on YouTube. I suggest you listen to it. But the Tim Drake is Robin in that, and when he tells him that the Riddler's real name is Edward Nigma, he's like, "Oh, I get it, Edward Nigma, Enigma. That's pretty dumb." But yeah, Riddler is causing power outages to the whole city. Just to blink a riddle in Morse code.
That should get their attention.
Egomaniac.
But why? You got to want it. Batman knows who I am. You'll have to put him in a snot-nosed coat out the way first. Come on.
So it's not really personal between him and Batman yet. But it will be. Good acting on Robin's face there.
Roberts owns them anymore, but what's his eyes and elephant's eye?
Corn. For your time.
So what's he saying? When
That's from Oklahoma.
Mockridge is
Rogers and Hammerstein.
What's another word meaning corn?
The corn is as high as an elephant's eye.
Hey, my Mockridge is in the maze.
the maze of the
Corn,
amusement park.
maze. Well, those riddles are certainly corny, aren't they?
Center of the maze, along with the miniature robot. I programmed destroying him at exactly 4:30 a.m.
Doing a little bit of work on my action
Which
figure
gives
here.
you less than 10 minutes to run the maze and find him. But
There's
first, roll
Extra
down
coats
the
there on this holster I'm paying for.
It'll be more interesting. Okay? Now, you said.
Yeah. Nigo spent a lot of time and effort and money setting this up, didn't he?
You'll have plans for the middle of Minotaur too. I can't wait. How far did you say you got into the game?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe halfway.
Already I like this.
Yeah. I like sarcastic Batman. Sarcastic Batman's great.
I'm thinking.
Could you do it more quickly?
Oh, the griffin. Well, that just blocks off the way you came, that's all.
Oh, yeah? So, like, when I was a kid, and still today, one of my favorite movies is Clash of the Titans. And that was probably the thing that triggered my personal fascination with Greek mythology. Wonder Woman probably didn't hurt either.
I don't know what's worse.
But one of the myths I always really liked was the story of Theseus and the Minotaur. And of course, there's a lot of Theseus and the Minotaur in this particular video game / literal maze that Enigma has set up, and Batman and Robin are trying to escape from.
Mockridge, if I have to tear this place apart, I doubt it.
That's a great line delivery there.
Quite lethal. You have 8 minutes, gentlemen. Then Mockridge becomes the only.
Kevin Conroy is just so fearless when it comes to like his voice acting. Like I said, I think that comes from.
But I can translate it.
I do know basic high school Spanish.
Which way to the eating place? Sorry.
Let's just pick one and move.
Batman's like literally got a Palm Pilot. I know it's the back of the hand. It's just a joke. Don't take it so seriously. Ah, the hand of fate.
Of course, we went for left, but in the outfield, always eat with your right.
You've got to use one of these keys.
Yes, but which one? And why are they labeled A, C, and D? Don't look at me. Let's try D.
Hmm.
Look out!
Wow.
Try another one. Okay. A this time.
No, wait! Turn that key and there'll be 3 blades.
Robin figured it out.
It's a C key. Trust me.
He gives him that look. That was kind of a little Adam West
It's a musical.
kind of move there.
The key of D has 2 sharps. The key of A has 3.
But the key of C has no sharps.
Now there's the Griffin again. It's cool that Batman doesn't have his utility belt.
2 points. Oh, that one. 1 minute, Batman.
Because it makes him have to think on his feet a little bit more. And sure, he's got the little computer gadget in his wrist, which we've almost never seen before, I don't think. But, you know, it's like Batman to innovate and come up with new things. So it's... Oh. And Batman found his own cheat code for this live-action video game. Get it? Hands?
Just one question.
I'm Batman.
See, he calls it a palm-top computer. My joke is justified. And there's the question mark.
You probably don't believe in minotaurs either, but you'll still have to answer the riddle. I have billions of eyes. I live in darkness. I have millions of years. You don't even afford those. I have no muscle. Yet I rule 2 hemispheres. What am I? That's simple.
Moment to think, but then he figures it out.
There's billions of optic nerves, 4 lobes and 2 hemispheres, and it's the only thing Edward Nigma respects.
Yeah,
A lucky guess. That's all. But it won't save you, Batman.
he's a poor loser.
Destroy them!
Good animation on Edward Nigma there. Now he's got to fight a robot Minotaur. Oh man, that's some really good fluid animation there. Good acting on Batman.
I solved the riddle, Nigma.
You love how he actually reaches for his utility belt even though it's not there anymore. Like, damn you, muscle memory. But Batman controls the hand of fate. And in this case, that's the winning hand. But the Minotaur does one last jump scare, like a slasher movie villain.
Sorry, boys, but you'll never find me. I'm not even in the amusement park. And by the time you
What?
get out the maze, I'll be on the street.
Oh, you sneaky bastard. So the Riddler got away,
Yes, it may.
but he still foiled his plan, so he's still better than Robert Pattinson.
$5.5 million a year in a new job.
That creep Mockridge got the pocket.
And don't worry, he'll catch the Riddler eventually. It's not like the Riddler just turns himself over to the cops because Batman's too pathetic to do it.
He's still out there.
And I kind of love the fact that this guy's just going to live in fear for the rest of his life.
Mockridge made up his money, but he won't be sleeping well.
Wouldn't you be terrified after all that? And Nigma is still at large? Oh, yeah. You bet he's scared.
How much is a good night's sleep worth? There's a riddle.
Man, like, Kevin Conroy's just so saucy in this episode. Lots of sarcasm coming from Batman. Great episode. I loved that episode. That was an episode I enjoyed even more than I remembered, and I remembered enjoying it quite a bit. So Kevin Conroy is Batman, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred, John Glover is the Riddler, Gary Frank as Dan Mockridge. I'm sure that's not the comic book artist, but there's a comic book artist named Gary Frank who drew some Batman comics, designed the Batmobile in the 1990s. So the late 90s Batmobile, not the Norm Barreto one. Lauren Lester as Robin, Brock Peters as Lucius Fox, and Hal Rail as the creatively named Henchman. So yeah, that was If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? The Riddler got away this time, but don't worry, Batman will catch up to him. So we're gonna have the return of the Riddler sooner than you might expect. So let's see. The next episode will be Joker's Wild, which is a solo Joker episode with no Harley Quinn. Those are going to become increasingly rare as the series goes along, where they're just going to fit in Harley Quinn every chance they get. I'm not complaining, of course, because I love Harley Quinn and I always like seeing her appearances. But you know, it is the sort of thing where it's like, you know, before this series started, the Joker didn't really have a regular sidekick like that, and once she becomes his regular sidekick, she's it for the rest of the show, and that's what we're gonna get. But this isn't the last one. There's at least one more in the Adventures of Batman and Robin. We'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, this is an increasingly rare solo Joker episode that we're going to be seeing tomorrow. And if you want to make sure that you catch that episode, make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode, and hit the dislike button if you didn't enjoy this episode. But I don't know why you wouldn't, because this, like I said, was one of the better episodes. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich? Of course you're going to enjoy it. So hit the little bell if you want to be warned anytime I go live. It could be any time. I got off to a later start than usual today because I slept late, and then I wanted to eat some lunch, and now it's almost 5 o'clock by the time I'm done with this. So, but that's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. Bye.